What did I do? What did I do? The league, huh?
What's up? How's it going? We got football. It's Wednesday. We got football tomorrow. I mean, wow.
It's a great time of the year.
It is the best time of the year.
So
It's
exciting.
like going to Disneyland during Christmas time. It's just so happy, you know?
The best. Can't wait.
Oh my gosh.
We've been doing drafts like crazy lately too. But Dill, why don't you tell them first off where we can be found?
Yes, so go to our website, www.theleaguefantasyfootball.wordpress.com. And on our website, we have all of our social medias, Instagram and Facebook at The League Podcast, and on Twitter at The League Pod. So once again, go check out our website, www.theleaguefantasyfootball.wordpress.com. And it's got, once again, it's got our YouTube link where you'll find our latest podcast on there, plus all of our social media on there, so you don't have to go searching all over these places. But yeah, go follow us on all of our social media. Go check out our website, and boom, you'll be winning championships.
Right.
Just like that.
Website's a one-stop shop. You go there, you get everything you need, from podcasts to links to all that good stuff.
That.
So let's talk to him last night, Dill. What happened last night? We got a little crazy. You put together an amazing 12-team PPR Dynasty League.
So yeah, we definitely did something different. We're always doing the same thing with these drafts. Redraft. We finally got a keeper league put together that isn't. Oh, it's a pain in the butt. These guys in our league, definitely a pain in the butt. But now I think with this new Dynasty League, I think we got a solid group of people that are pretty serious about fantasy football and are ready to make that jump and commitment to a league where you keep your entire team. You play year by year, and you pretty much just draft, rookies and free agents or breakout free agents or whatever it may be going to new teams that are in the free agency pool. So it's going to be definitely different.
It's going to be a lot of different. We'll see how many people actually last. But are you saying that, the other one you're done with?
I'm not done with it.
Jeez,
I'm actually really happy.
We have a couple guys that are, a little loose, but I think we have a solid core with that crew too.
They just, they were just, it is what it is. Anyways, I just got Odell Beckham in that league, so I'm not complaining at all. So now, anyways, back to this Dynasty League. Jake had the sixth pick.
Yeah.
I had the 10th pick.
Landed Odell.
He went with Odell, which I was really bummed because I was hoping Odell would fall to me, which I think he would have if Jake didn't take him.
Need him. For that type of Dynasty, you're going to have him forever. Odell just got locked in. I'm taking my boy all day. And, Zeke was out there. I just
you were going to take him.
Couldn't pass on Odell because I just want Odell so bad that I was worth reaching on PPR and for life. Zeke, I don't want Zeke. I do want Zeke. I would like Zeke for life, but Odell all day. That's how I'm rocking it. And I've already had trades coming my way, for a possible Saquon Barkley, but, we'll see. It's going to be interesting. But I'm loving the Dynasty because you could trade for guys that are just extremely young that you're going to build off of for years to come. I'm happy with my draft overall. I did get an auto draft, which I'm kind of bummed with, but Dill, what about yours? Are you excited about yours?
Oh, I love my team, man. I love it. I got lucky because, obviously it's you want younger guys. So Antonio Brown is the best receiver in the NFL, but for some reason everyone decided that he's too old or something. So he fell to 10.
10.
I'll take him all day at 10. I wanted to go running back, obviously. Running back, back to back to solidify my two spots. But with Antonio Brown out there, I couldn't pass up on him. So AB1 and then Christian McCaffrey on the back end come around, which I love those two guys to build my team around. And then obviously a lot of players fell, like Russell Wilson in the 8th round. Doug Baldwin 9th round, so things like that. Those older guys did fall a little bit, so I was able to jump on them and build my team to not only be dominant this year with these older guys, but I also filled in those bench spots because you have a heavy bench, 9 spots or I believe or so. It's an 18 person in your lineup or whatever it is. So they're pretty heavy, but you invest in these young guys. Like I got Lamar Jackson, I got James Washington, Calvin Ridley. These young guys that may not do anything this year, but in the coming years they might be studs. So
they might be, and they might not be.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's going to be weird because you look at it, how many guys down the road, chances are they're going to end up signing someone or another guy's going to get drafted, So it's going to be weird how we're investing our picks into these guys, like thinking 2-3 years from now, and they might not even be anything 2-3 years from now. So it's funny how that is going to play out. It's going to be interesting, and I can't wait for the future of this draft just to see how it is.
Definitely, man. Yeah, so last night's draft was awesome, and, my team definitely filled out. Jake's definitely filled out.
Yeah.
And there was a couple teams that really invested in the future, so they're probably going to be pretty bad this year, but they could end up being champions later on down the road. But like you said, you never know with these young guys. You never know with these bench players that by the end of the year, we could have a completely different bench with completely different players.
Definitely.
So.
The bench is super. It's going to be interesting to see how down the road the bench plays out. But the starting squads have to be so dialed in, because that's your core for the next, however many years. So I drafted a pretty young starting core. You drafted a decently young. You have young players, obviously, and then you have some veterans mixed in there as well.
A couple 28, 29-year-olds, but
you're able to just have different draft strategies. Like, you could win now or you could set up for the future. So that's cool. You don't have to just focus on this year, which is interesting. It's different. It was fun. Had a blast doing it. But
me too, man.
We got to talk about these crazy moves going on in the NFL. I know it's a couple days past, but Khalil Mack gets a crazy contract. He gets not only a crazy contract, but he gets traded out of Oakland. He's now with the Chicago Bears. Chicago traded 2 first-round picks for him and got, in my opinion, one of the best defensive players in the league, obviously. And, he got 6 years, $141 million and $90 million guaranteed. That man's locked in, and I'm very worried about Aaron Rodgers because that sucks now.
Yeah, that Bears defense is already up and coming.
Definitely.
Very young, very fierce, and
What a move by
oh my
that
gosh,
team,
man. They are making moves, that's for sure. They're trying to
win.
Yeah,
they're trying to win, and I love it. I hate the Bears, but I love what they're doing. I love a lot of their players, so that kind of sucks. But in other news, what's going on in LA, Dale?
We finally re-signed AD. He
Your
was the highest paid defensive player ever until a day later when Khalil Mack got traded and
that
signed.
Didn't last long.
So AD signed for $135 million, $80 million guaranteed. So Khalil Mack essentially got that $1 more million every year
exactly.
on top of, I think it's like 23.5 compared to Aaron Donald's 22.5. Quarterbacks are now in the $30 million range, but there are many quarterbacks in the league that are not even getting paid like these defensive linemen did.
Nope.
It's crazy.
It is. Well, they're becoming
difference
they're
makers.
becoming that quarterback on defense almost, as much as that middle linebacker safety is, those guys like the Von Millers and Khalil Macks, Aaron Donalds, they're changing the defensive game. They really are. So
they really are, man.
I think they're worth every penny.
Oh yeah, I'm stoked. I would have I'd have been pretty upset with the Rams if they did not re-sign Aaron Donald. They re-signed a lot of their guys this offseason. So they solidified their core, and bringing him along as well makes me so happy. Obviously, It's a little easier when you have young quarterbacks like Jared Goff, Mitch Trubisky on those smaller contracts, so you can afford guys like this. So we'll see in 3-4 years when their contracts are up and how we're going to pay those guys and who we're going to have to get rid of in order to keep these guys, because obviously the Rams have a star-studded team that they're not going to be able to keep together. So we'll see down the road like a Cooper Kupp. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep him in 4 years. They have Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks on huge contracts. It comes down to like the Packers deal where they had, Jordy, Randall Cobb, and then who was that? Devontae. All 3 of them. So, you got to get rid of one of them sooner or later. So
that's how it goes. It's a cutthroat business. Welcome to it.
I know, right? But
hey, also, sorry, but I want to jump to this Le'Veon Bell deal. I'm really, it's day 3 now into this week of football. We're at Hump Day, and still no signs of Lev. Lev is at home chilling. Actually, I have no idea what he's doing.
He's probably out putting a record, man, in the booth.
Hopefully I hope he's not in the booth. He spent his time in the booth, but I hope he's on his way. Maybe he's walking there and it's just taking him a long time, but, I'm getting a little on edge here. I mean, come on, Lev. Let's show up. You're supposed to have your best year to date, and then from there, you make a lot of money, my man. You're going to get locked in, 5-6 year deal.
I'm saying it right now. I'm putting it on this podcast. Le'Veon Bell will not be on their team at the end of the year.
Well, that's a given.
No, he's getting traded.
At the end of the year?
No. Before the end of the year.
Without
I'm saying by week 17, he will not be on the Steelers.
I think by week 2,
right?
If he doesn't show up for this first week, I think by week 2 they could be planning on shipping his ass out of Pittsburgh. And he's looking right at Khalil Mack. Like, Khalil Mack is doing, look what he did. He's not showing up. He's not doing anything until he gets his money. And they traded him, and he got his money. And, hey, Khalil Mack's probably happy as could be at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And Lev Bell's probably thinking, you know what? I want that same setup. I've put in everything in Pittsburgh. They don't want to pay me. But at the same time, he did tweet saying, I'm going to have my best year yet, yada, yada.
His best year yet. He didn't say in Pittsburgh.
True.
So he's playing.
True.
But he's playing for someone that's going to pay him. They're going to show him the love that he's been given the love.
I really hope he stays on Pittsburgh just due to that offensive line and that offense. He's just so dynamic. That offense is so dynamic with him in it. But, hey, if he's got to go, he's got to go. And it's a cutthroat business, like we said. So we'll see. Obviously, we're coming up on Thursday. They don't play till Sunday. So, but I don't know. It just seems odd to me that their first week of preparation, he's not even in the building. I mean, that's a bit worrisome. So, obviously, if you've already done your drafts and if James Conner is still on that waiver wire, you better pick his ass up like I did. I actually drafted James Conner because I was so worried about it. Dylan snagged me in last night's dynasty draft for James Conner, which is smart. Thinking if Lev Bell is going to be gone.
If he's gone, I get a
James Conner's a
number
RB1.
one.
Jeez Louise. Anyways,
round 12.
Let's do this, Dill. Why don't we talk about our first game of the season, huh?
Yeah. Thursday night football. It's the first Thursday night of the year. We got 17 more of them. I am on cloud 9.
Me too.
I know we said it in the beginning of the podcast, but I just can't get over it. We've been waiting for this day all year.
It's been a whole year.
And now we're back here, and the season's going to fly by. Next thing we know, we're going to be in the fantasy football playoffs saying, I told you to pick this guy up at the beginning of the year. I told you to do this. I told you to do that. So once again, you guys, what we say, it goes. So you better follow the trend because...
or you're going to get left behind.
Yeah, you're going to get left behind by others listening to this podcast, and they're going to be following our rules and following our notes, and... at that point, you're going to be 0-5. They're going to be 5-0.
So, Dill, talk to me. Let's do some starts and sits. What do you think? Let's go on the Eagles side. They've been the defending champions, Super Bowl champs. I got some questions. With Carson Wentz now not playing, Nick Foles has been named the starter. Do you see Nick Foles as someone that you could start on Thursday Night Football, Week 1 for your fantasy team? Say if you didn't take a quarterback till the last couple rounds, I doubt you're going to need to, but is he playable? Or if he's not, I mean, how's his game going to look?
Well, he is the Super Bowl MVP. He played a phenomenal end of the year last year. He looked amazing. I loved what I saw. It was a Nick Foles recreated.
Well, let me touch base on his playoff stats really quick.
Let's talk.
Just during the playoffs, he threw for 971 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 1 interception during his whole playoff run into the championship. I mean, that's ridiculous. So, just to piggyback off that.
Well, and, piggybacking off of some stats, this preseason, it was a whole different ballgame.
He shit the bed.
16 for 26, 171 yards. That's 6.6 yards per play. And 2 interceptions. He had 2 interceptions in the preseason when he only had 1 in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Makes me nervous.
I bet.
Not only that, he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He came out. And he's probably not 100%, but they need him. So he knows this is his opportunity to play and hopefully do well. But Falcons' defense is nasty, especially their passing game. Their passing game is pretty solid with their starting corners.
Their pass defense.
Their pass defense, yeah. What's his name?
They have Desmond Trufant and Robert Alford.
Yes, those guys are locking it down. And then, Keanu Neal at safety.
Of course. I actually, in our other league where we have a defensive player, he was my second defensive player I took. He's a beast, Keanu Neal. I mean, he's an absolute monster.
Yeah. So my point to this whole statement is I'm not starting Nick Foles this week. Even if I'm desperate, I'm going with more, and actually I have Carson Wentz on a lot of my teams. And instead of picking up Nick Foles for his replacement, I'm starting different quarterbacks because that's how I have no faith in the guy.
And that's what I should have asked. If you have a Carson Wentz, is Nick Foles a startable player? And obviously,
I would rather.
You think there's more players on that waiver wire that are, or that maybe you drafted later that are worth.
Well, there's a guy that's on a few waivers that I've seen that just sitting there, and that's Andy Dalton.
Of course,
Andy Dalton's playing the Colts, and their pass defense was bottom 2, bottom 3 last year. So someone like that, I would so much rather start than a Nick Foles. I'm starting Nick Foles in maybe a 2-quarterback league if I'm desperate.
If you have Carson Wentz, yeah, and I think it's a desperate play if you have a 2 QB league.
Once again, I would rather start Tyrod Taylor against the Steelers than start Nick Foles against the Falcons. So, yeah, I'm not starting him.
Well, and Andy Dalton, I mean, if you were to grab him, you never know. This man could start for you on a weekly basis. You might have, if you have Carson Wentz, then, okay, you have Carson Wentz that comes back, and who knows? He could start playing really well as well. You have now an Andy Dalton who's firing and a Carson Wentz who's firing, and then that's possible trade bait, or, hey, Carson Wentz comes and is not looking great. He's looking, a little rusty.
Because there's nothing that's going to guarantee. He's coming back a year before, or not even a whole year.
Not even a whole year.
That's
He's
scary.
not even a full year recovered. So, hey, you could have a lock-in with Andy Dalton until Carson Wentz gets back in his groove week, who knows, 8, 9, whatever it may be. Then you can feel comfortable putting him back in. But anyways, there's a lot of different ways you can go about it. But so you're saying at the end of the day, tomorrow's game, Nick Foles isn't going to have a good one. It doesn't sound like.
I'm not saying he's going to have a bad one, but last year in the playoffs, he didn't play terrible against the Falcons, but it's not like he was an amazing play last year. I think he threw 246 yards on 30 attempts, which is not bad. It's not bad at all, but I just don't see that coming again. Atlanta's pass defense, once again, I'm going to say it, is pretty good.
So with that being said, how about Nelson Aguilar? Are you playing him this week in a flex at all?
I am, just because of the volume. I think the Falcons get up. I think the Falcons score a couple touchdowns. Granted, the Eagles' defense is really, solid. Really good.
Very solid.
What scares me is the turnovers by Nick Foles that can cause opportunity for the Falcons to score early and often. So if they do get up quickly, then obviously they're going to have to throw it a lot, which is obviously more opportunity for more picks. But it's also more opportunity for the pass-catching guys like Nelson Aguilar, Zach Ertz. Obviously Ertz is one of the best tight ends in the league. He's a must-start every single time. Nelson Aguilar with Alshon out. I think he's close to a must-start,
Yeah, and I think until Alshon comes back, Aguilar is a weekly flex start.
At least a weekly. Maybe a wide receiver too.
Definitely, and we'll see how that all depends, I think, on how that quarterback plays. If Nick Foles
loves
He loves Aguilar, but I'm really worried that Nick Foles already injured. I just am scared about their quarterback situation, and that's going to affect their offense.
I am too.
And especially, too, if Ajayi can't get the ball rolling, then they're really screwed because they need that run game.
That's the main thing.
That run game. And that leads me to Ajayi. Are you obviously starting Ajayi this week against an Atlanta's?
I am. You look at Atlanta's defense, and once again, they're good. They're solid. Even, they got some good defensive linemen, good linebackers, Deion Jones, the young buck. But since Dan Quinn's taken over that team, they're built more on speed than thump. They're going to be running around, quickness. They're going to be stopping that pass. But when it comes to ground and pound, this offensive line is one of the best in the league, the Eagles. So they're going to push forward. Ajayi's going to average 4 to 5 yards a carry just because of them pushing that line.
They got a pretty nice defensive line, though.
They do, but...
They got a Vic Beasley rushing in.
But he's fast. He's not strong, Yeah. I shouldn't say he's not strong. He's a beast.
Well,
but compared to a Jason Peters, that guy's huge. That guy's a mammoth.
It's true. Vitae, though, too big. Speed might work against the Vitae.
But I don't even know if Vitae's starting if Peters is healthy.
True.
I think he's playing.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, definitely.
But if they don't have that run game, though, I think it's gonna be a rough night for the Eagles.
It is. But like I was kind of saying, is they finished 20th, 28th, and 25th in run defense in the last few years. So they're bottom half of the league. Mm-hmm. So that just they're going to come out running. The Philadelphia has to come out running, and if they're successful, like you said, then it will open up the pass for Nick Foles, because if Nick Foles has to throw, that's when the turnovers happen.
Yeah.
And I actually have Atlanta's defense in a couple of my leagues because I do think that there is some turnovers this game. So I'm starting J.J., even possibly flexing Corey Clement with the chance of the Eagles getting down, because of the turnovers and whatnot. But I think the defense will keep them in the game more so than I'm really thinking.
I think it's going to end up as a close game.
I think so too. But it's the first night of football. You just never know. The Eagles could come out and just look terrible.
The Super Bowl
hangover.
They look like they didn't look great by any means in preseason. Obviously, a lot of their starters didn't play, but it's going to be interesting, and I can't wait.
I can't either, man. So why don't you kind of talk about Matt Ryan and the Falcons? What do you think is going to happen with them tonight? How do you think Matty Ice is going to play? Would you start him in a standard 12 team league?
As a matter of fact, I am starting him in one of my leagues. I have Julio and Matt Ryan in our CTE league, actually.
Yeah? Oh, nice.
So I obviously paired them up, and I just think coming off this offseason where Matt Ryan was made the first $30 million man, he's 33 years old?
Yep.
33 years old, and he just got another huge contract. I mean, they obviously love Matty Ice. He's a lifer, and they've put everything they can into him. Not only that, they restructure Julio's contract to make him happy because of, he's obviously pushed down on the contract rankings now with all these guys getting paid. So my point is, I think that with the confidence Atlanta has in their guys, I think Matty Ice is an easy start, and I think through the season they're going to have a great chemistry and build off of that kind of not so good red zone. They only had 50% touchdown rate in the red zone. Less than that. It was 49% touchdown rate in the red zone last year. I think that's going to change significantly. I think with the Calvin Ridley, who didn't even make their top 3 receivers, who beat him out. Justin Hardy beat out Ridley this offseason in preseason for that 3rd spot, but they're going to sub them out.
Yeah,
so they're going to play Ridley no matter what.
And if Ridley starts getting going, he's
going to have that. He's going to have that spot. So with that, with a healthy Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman, I think they're going to have a lot of opportunity to get the ball in the end zone, which is an easy way for Matt Ryan to be successful in this offense. And I love their running game. They have 2 elite backs back there who split the touches. Last year, Freeman averaged 16.2 touches, and Tevin Coleman had 10.7 touches per game. So that's a pretty good timeshare split, RBBC. So between the both of them, I think it's a potent offense, and you don't know what's coming. Devontae Freeman can run down their throat, so can Tevin Coleman. They both can catch out of the backfield and break one loose. So with all that said, I like Matt Ryan, like I said, this week.
So you talk about Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. Are you starting Tevin Coleman? Because I know Devontae Freeman, I mean, he's the number 1 running back in that offense, so he's a start,
So,
but are you starting Tevin Coleman too?
So with you going on, I think Tevin Coleman is a much better flex than a Corey Clement, in my opinion. So hell yeah, I'm starting Tevin Coleman if I need to in my flex spot over like a Corey Clement being that RB2. The upside with Coleman, I think, is a lot higher with that pass catching ability, and he can just break them loose. But I mean, you look at Clement's Super Bowl game of last year, the man looked like a bat out of hell. He was a monster.
But that was on, I think, 7 touches?
Really? I think he had a little more. But regardless, Corey Clement hasn't proven to be that guy.
Yeah, 7 touches for the Super Bowl. So he is very limited. He only averaged 5 touches a game last year. So
unbelievable. They could really start using him, utilizing him more. Tevin Coleman averaging 10 touches, double what
more
he
opportunity.
Is. So he's going to get more opportunity, which means I absolutely will start Tevin Coleman in the flex all day. Definitely. Yeah. And then Devontae Freeman, obviously, easy start. I think Devontae Freeman has a touchdown this week easily.
I love Devontae Freeman. I mean, he's been a solid player, and I mean, they paid him a few years back, made him the highest paid running back, and he deserved it. And injuries have definitely hampered him these last couple of years, but I think he's going to come back strong and be strong until he gets hurt again. So hopefully not. But talking about, we talked about Matty Ice. You said you would start him, and obviously Julio is usually a start every week,
of course,
even against a solid Eagles defense.
So I want to put Jalen Mills on blast right now. Okay, so last year he had one play during the last matchup between the Falcons and the Eagles, which made it seem like Julio, and it wasn't. I don't know. I think it was kind of a bad pass too. Jalen Mills had that last play of the game where Julio Jones missed that touchdown catch with 0 seconds left on the clock. It would have been a walk-off touchdown. They would have won the game. I think the throw was uncatchable. It was over Julio's head. And I don't think it was possible. I don't think it was a drop pass by Julio by any means.
I think Julio jumped a second too early.
That was probably why, too. It was off timing a little bit.
I mean, the ball went through his hands. He had the ball. The guy was nowhere near. Like, it was just...
Jalen Mills was on him that play, and Jalen Mills obviously gets all the credit for that play because of the fact Julio, whatever, if it was a drop or whatever it may be, that game... Julio torched Jalen Mills. I wish we really took all of the good stuff out of that because Julio, last time they matched up, had 9 catches for over 100 yards. Yet he had 0 touchdowns because of that no touchdown
And
on the last play.
That's been his problem.
That's been his problem. But like I said, I think this is something that they've really, really tried to dive focal point on. But my point is, Jalen Mills got torched last year by Julio Jones. Torched to, can't even believe it yet. Eagles came out on top, and he had that last play of the game where Julio didn't make the play. So that's what it all came down to. So I really come into this game. I think Julio's going to get his touchdown on Jalen Mills this week and have a great week at the end of the day. Without a doubt, I think Matt Ryan and Julio are a great little paired duo this week.
Would you rather start Mohamed Sanu or like a Mike Wallace?
I honestly, Mohamed Sanu, Beantown, Bean City, that's my boy right there. I think he's an easy start over whoever you said.
Mike Wallace.
Mike Wallace, no doubt. Mohamed Sanu is the number 2 receiver. He actually had a pretty decent year last year, but he's locked in as that guy, and he's a red zone target. He could be getting that ball. He is very touchdown dependent. So it's tough to say. Like I'd have him as a flex, but I think there are better guys to start over flex. If it's between the two guys, I'm going with Mohamed Sanu over Mike Wallace as my hopefully flex. Hopefully you're not in a wide receiver 2 spot like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it's just really you're probably not going to be starting either of those guys this week unless you're in a 14, 16 team league where you obviously have to.
Yeah, but Mohamed Sanu had a really good year last year. He almost had 100 targets, 96 targets last year. He caught 67 balls, over 700 yards, and he scored 5 touchdowns, which is not bad for a wide receiver 2 in a high-powered offense with a lot of mouths to feed. So I think this year Mohamed Sanu is going to, I would imagine, get right around the same numbers. I think he could break the 70 reception and possibly even 800 yards receiving, and I do think he does get right about 5 touchdowns as well. So
sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off. One last question about the Falcons. What do you think Austin Hooper is going to do this year?
So Austin Hooper, every year he's been in the league, has spent his offseason in California training. This was the first offseason. He spent his whole offseason in Atlanta, and every chance he got, he worked with Matt Ryan. So with that being said, I think the connection this year with Austin Hooper is going to be off the charts. People aren't even going to expect the amount of targets that Austin Hooper could possibly see in this offense. I think you could get him in one of the last rounds in your draft, and you're scoring a tight end 1 in a high-powered offense with a guy who's trying to build his connection and rapport with Matt Ryan, who is going to rely on his tight ends. We watched Austin Hooper break a couple big plays last year. Other than that, he was completely quiet. I think this year is his breakout year when it comes to because off of those big games. I remember you probably didn't even play him during.
Well,
those
I did.
Big games.
The big game I had him.
You did?
I did. So it was awesome. I'm like, I gotta steal. This guy's gonna be a stud. And the next 3 weeks, he killed me. And last year I was just streaming all year. So I've really made it a point to draft tight ends early. So I'm solid with them. But I mean. Definitely has potential. Are you starting him this week?
I'm high on Hooper. This week I am. I believe Philadelphia's out a linebacker this week, so I'm liking Austin Hooper this week.
Miguel Bragdon.
That's right. So with him out, I do like Austin Hooper this week. He's going to have, possibly exploit that linebacker core, and like I said, he could be a red zone target and just a target to get them down the field at the end of the day because they do have good corners. Jalen Mills, I put him on blast, but he's solid, without a doubt. I just think Julio has the edge on Jalen. And with Ronald Darby as well, they got 2 lockdown corners, so it could really open up this week for Austin Hooper.
So would you rather start like an Austin Hooper for the rest of the year or a David Njoku?
Ooh, I would go Njoku. He looked really good in preseason. Looked really, really good. And
even with the worries of him dropping the ball.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. He's being and though you have to take the investment on Njoku. So if you don't get him in the, whatever it is, 8th, 9th, 10th round for Njoku, might even be earlier than that. You're taking Austin Hooper late. I think the value for Austin Hooper and the potential payback for Austin Hooper is much better than a David Njoku. But if you take and get Njoku, I think you might as well go with him.
All right, sounds good, man. Well, you heard it. Austin Hooper is definitely a guy that you can have. You can definitely pick up on.
Oh, for sure. And late. I mean, if you go the route of not getting a tight end, you draft Austin Hooper. You'll be so stoked at the end of the day that you can leave him in your lineup every week. But Dill, let me come back at you real quick. Who do you have winning this game and by what score?
I have a score prediction. This is tough, because I think the Falcons win. I think the Falcons win this game. I do think it's maybe a little bit lower scoring than anything. They both have solid defenses. I think Matt Ryan does throw a couple touchdowns. Devontae Freeman gets in there. I think it's a score of like maybe 24-17. Falcons win.
Okay, I like it.
What about you?
Well,
what are you thinking?
I think, obviously, I have Falcons winning this game, too. It is in Philly, though. So that's the one deterrent of, like,
right.
Super Bowl champs. That crowd's going to come in.
Defense is solid.
So fired up. Defense is going to be fired up. But I do have Atlanta winning this game just because overall their defense is very solid and they have the offensive pieces to really win this game. Whereas Philly, I'm a little shaken on their offensive pieces. Having Aguilar, their number one. Having Ajayi, who, if they don't get that game
Real
going.
Quick, before we end this today, you made a pretty interesting point to me this morning about Aguilar. You compared him to a player in the NFL that is now one of the highest paid receivers, as well as, one of the top fantasy football picks.
He's on that top tier of fantasy picks, and if you look at their stats, talk to me, Dill.
So why don't you talk to us about Nelson Aguilar and Stephon Diggs, because their stats pretty much were neck and neck last year.
They really were, man. So if you look at it, and we're talking about Stephon Diggs, and I mean, Nelson Aguilar is being very undercredited, in my opinion. Nelson Aguilar.
And I am guilty of it.
Yeah.
I've been guilty of it.
Everybody is. You even, at the beginning of our podcast, as we started in the offseason, you were looking away every time I'd mention Nelson
Aguilar.
Single
time.
You would laugh at me.
I didn't laugh
and
at
make fun of me.
you.
But regardless, if you look at the stats from last year, you're looking at a Stephon Diggs who averaged 95 targets last year, or who had 95 targets last year. Nelson Aguilar had 95 targets last year. Out of those 95 targets, Stephon Diggs caught 2 more passes than Nelson Aguilar, 64 to 62 receptions. Nelson Aguilar almost had 800 receiving yards. Stephon Diggs had 850 receiving yards, and they both scored 8 touchdowns apiece. I mean, if that couldn't be any more spot on right there. And we're talking about Stephon Diggs, who got drafted in the 3rd round in last night's draft, who got paid big boy money, who's going to be locked in for life. And we're comparing to a Nelson Aguilar, who's a wide receiver 2, kind of like on the sideline.
Right now, a wide receiver 1 in his offense.
Right now, a wide receiver 1. You're talking about an offensive line that is way better than the Vikings' offensive line, who's going to give that quarterback more time, whether it be Nick Foles or Carson Wentz. And when Carson Wentz comes back, I think Aguilar's I think his potential even value goes up even more. So that is a, touche. I think
that's just what I wanted to really end this on, because I'm really happy with my investment on Nelson Aguilar in our keeper league, because granted I probably won't keep him, but he's going to be a solid receiver for me. And soon, my receivers are stacked in that league. And,
but like I said, you're going to have him until Alshon gets back. His value is going to come down a little. At least his target share will come down a little bit. So you know what
Daddy's going to do? Daddy's going to trade him in week 2 or 3 when he scores 20 points in a row.
Like I said, I would trade for Aguilar right now because but the problem is the value of his. I would trade a lot for Aguilar right now just to have him as my wide receiver 2, but that's only going to last for 5 weeks. So I wouldn't trade for him. But there's someone out there that will, because he's gonna have a 20-point week, and you're gonna be able to dish him out and get something for him, and then 5 weeks from now he'll be that wide receiver 2 in that offense.
I just think that I disagree with that, because if he is that hot, there's no way he's just going to come back down to life. Obviously, he had a pretty good year last year.
Dude, everybody that gets hot comes back down to life. No matter Kareem Hunt, he was hot as could be. Fell back down to earth. Nelson Aguilar, if he's hot as can be in that wide receiver 1, you have Alshon Jeffrey and Zach Ertz. How are you going to disagree the fact that he's going to lose targets?
Because he's going to lose. I mean, granted, he's in the slot. The slot receiver gets those intermediate routes. Even last year with Alshon Jeffrey in there, he led the team in red zone targets. He led the team in touchdowns. So I think that
with Nick Foles,
the entire year.
Debatable. I would say Zach Ertz has that. Does he not?
Zach Ertz was hurt for a few weeks, so that could have bumped him down.
Oh, that might be why. But regardless, I totally see your point, and I'm definitely not dishing down on Aguilar, because that's my boy. I've been hyping up Aguilar this whole time, so I'm not gonna hate the fact that I do think Aguilar is amazing in that offense. I just, my point is, even if he's hot for the first 4 weeks, he's not going to be hot for the entire 17.
I mean, he was hot the entire season last year. He had the 7th highest passer rating when thrown to in the slot out of all the slot receivers. So, I mean, this guy is just led, like I said, he led the team in red zone targets and targets inside the 10-yard line. So that was for all of 2017 of the entire team. So I don't know. I think that he's...
Dude, I don't know. I agree with everything. Yeah. I do like him. I'm not talking down on Aguilar because, it sounds like now you're fighting for Aguilar and I'm not, which is complete crap because Aguilar's my guy. So, anyways, can I get back to my damn score here? It's supposed to be, like I said, I got Falcons taking it. You went on a rant there for Aguilar for I don't know why. Man Crush Central. But... I think Falcons are going to score a decent amount of points. I think Philly's defense is solid, but their offense doesn't have the pieces this week, I don't think, to get past that Falcons defense. So I think Falcons score only 10 points. Sorry. Eagles only score 10 points. Falcons score 24. I think it's going to be 24-10. Falcons take this W, and by a decent margin, in my opinion.
Well, we'll be coming back to you guys on Friday to recap Thursday's game, and we're gonna be like, told you so.
Told you so. And can't wait to get into the Sunday matchups. Yeah. We have, obviously, our first Sunday of all these games coming at us. So we're going to be doing basically what we did for this game. Sits, starts, what we like, what we don't like for all these matchups coming up. So I can't wait, dude.
We got tons of information. So, guys, go follow us on our website, www.theleaguefantasyfootball.wordpress.com. And on there, follow us on all of our social medias. You'll find them on there. You click the link. It'll bring you right to whether it's Instagram or Facebook at The League Podcast or at The League Pod on Twitter. So once again, go on our website, www.theleaguefantasyfootball.wordpress.com. Our YouTube video will be posted on there. The link for our podcast will be on there. Our latest podcast will be playing on there. All of our rankings are still up. We're going to be updating those weekly as well. Starts and sits will be on there. So go check it out. Guys, football is back. Can't wait. We'll get back to you Friday to recap Thursday's game and talk about the rest of them. So,
that's right. Can't wait.
Can't wait, Jay.
Over and out.
Over and out.
What did I do? What did I do? The league, huh?